Hello and welcome back to VCTV by LATOKEN. You are here on our main page, or if you're tuning in from a YouTube link or from and of course, just get into our schedules. Look what's coming up. We have a few topics this week and we have more to come next week as well. So just to quickly start it off, my name is Terrence and I'll be your moderator for today. And this is VCTV by LATOKEN. Today on our panel, we actually have three distinguished gentlemen that who are also in the whole realm of VC. So they are VCs themselves, or they represent a fund, and they are here to kind of discuss a little bit on fintech and blockchain together. So we want to see how those two topics marry each other and kind of come together in a whole ecosystem that you see today. So to kind of start things off, we'll have you, Bernard, kind of quickly take us through an introduction here. Tell us a bit yourself and what you represent, where you're dialing from.
Everyone, glad to be here. I'm actually calling from Paris. A little bit about my background. I started as a bond trader at HSBC, and then I became an entrepreneur, had a robotics company, and sold it to a major conglomerate here in France. And after selling the company, I decided to sell and start a new venture capital company called Truffle Capital, together with a co-founder who was also a former entrepreneur, medical doctor in Stanford University, and had sold his own company. So we have this entrepreneurial DNA as a VC in deep technology. And 6 years ago, because we started 19 years ago, we've done 100 companies and raised $1.5 billion in dollars. 6 years ago, I decided on my side to focus my team on fintech and insurtech. So that's where we are today. We've been a team focusing and specialized on fintech and insurtech, and of course, applying new technologies, including blockchain, to this industry.
Right. Thank you for that, Bernard. I think that's a great introduction on your end as well. Rishabh, let's move on to you. A quick introduction from you then.
Thank you, Terence. It's a pleasure to be here again, and these discussions have been amazing, insightful, and it has really helped a lot of entrepreneurs out there. So, not taking a lot of time, I'll give a quick introduction about myself. I work with OneX, which is a family office based out of Dubai. We invest in early to growth stage ventures. We are a strategic investor who invests with a token-only mandate in the blockchain industry, and we work with them. We give them our money as well as our blood and sweat to get them to what they aim for, when they started their journey. These days, we are working with an accelerator program called TD5. TD5 is incubating and accelerating early stage DeFi ventures, decentralized finance projects, to help them in their legal regulatory compliances, and then helping them in their PR and marketing of setting up the PR and marketing operations, and then also helping them in every possible way to raise funds, to help them scale up their operations and to reach where they would like to be, where they aimed when they started their journey.
Nice. Thank you for that, Rishabh. Welcome. Okay, we have Anuj here as well. Anuj, we're going through the introduction bit. Tell us a bit about yourself and what you represent over there.
Oh, thank you so much for letting me be a part of the session, mate. So, serial entrepreneur, started 3 startups in the past. Presently working as the founder of Atom and Yellow Sapphire Technologies. Also an international partner to World Business Angel Forum, where we are working on promoting global financial inclusivity and entrepreneurship across the world. At presently, I'm working with iAngels in Israel to make angel investments based out of that region, along with working with a family fund based out of Buffalo, New York.
On board. So there you go, folks. For all of you tuning in, this is VCTV by LATOKEN, and today we have your panel, and they will be touching on fintech and blockchain. So Let's talk more about blockchain and its applications and advancements itself in fintech. Uh, are businesses kind of eager to kind of jump into this? Perhaps you can give us sort of an introduction to what you see there. Bernard, we'll start off with you.
Yes, of course. I would like to say that we've been paying a lot of attention to blockchain for a very long time. Actually, ever since we specialized on fintech, insurtech 6 years ago. It's not so much about the cryptos and only the cryptos, but about the system, the mathematical system that you can build to make whole infrastructure work for many, many years and solve a number of problems. And being mathematical, being pure software, it's bound to be lasting as long as there is a smart governance in place and some flexibility. So that is really what we have been looking at and how it can transform a number of industries. And there are a number of industries in finance to us, which as well as for us, but for our LPs as well, whom most of them are banks or insurance companies. And the security, the reliability, but also the ability to go back in the past and independently from whom has conducted the transaction, look at a given transaction and make sure that it can never be changed. This distributed ledger is fundamentally an enabler in a number of industries, and maybe we will get into more detail later in this session. It can apply to insurance, it can apply to asset management, and a number of industries that can make use of that without actually having a closed system, as most systems today are closed with a number of parties using their own software. And instead of that, you can have a distributed ledger where everyone is plugging in and using actually the same platform.
Right, you're right. That's the core of the whole blockchain environment as well. Kind of, Rishad, moving over to you here. When we talk about blockchain and fintech, again, could you help us highlight the applications and the advancements that you see from your side there?
Sure. As Bernard rightly mentioned, it's blockchain is not only about cryptos. It's a technology, which is kind of bringing a characteristic to the whole ecosystem, the characteristic of being transparent and the trust and the security. So that's what blockchain brings in. Although when it started, so the term was coined in 2009, which started with Bitcoin for that matter. But since then, it has covered a long journey. We have applications in supply chain, we have applications in logistics, then we have applications in gaming industry, we have applications in, name an industry, and we have an application of blockchain in that. And that's where I see the future going in. But let's, to coming back to the topic for the discussion today on blockchain and fintech. Uh, like from 2010 onwards, I think that's where the mass adoption started for fintech when all these payment apps came in. Your bank was just a click away from you. Just a mouse click was able to get all those financial activities done, which for which you used to stand in the queue, and that's where the revolution started. And then when blockchain and got amalgamated with fintech, that's where the new industry which is coming, decentralized industry, decentralized applications in financial industry. We talk about DeFi, we talk about insurtech. Then we have seen how decentralization has just the amalgamation of decentralization in fintech, that is bringing in blockchain into lending and borrowing space, has been the talk of the town for the last 1 year. We have seen, the value growing in. There has been a mass adoption. There have been so many amazing products coming in, which are actually solving the real-time problems which are being faced. And I'm sure that the future. When like 2 years back, we were in a position when 2 billion of those, the whole population of the world, was underbanked and unbanked. They did not have that access to banking app services. And today it's a proud moment when we say that even in continents like the remotest of areas, uh, we have people who have access to banking. We have neobanks coming up. We have fintech applications coming up with the use of blockchain, and I'm sure that in the next decade we'll be seeing a huge reduction in the number of people who have access to who do not have access to banking services, and that's the future of blockchain, and that's what blockchain and fintech has done to us. And I'm so glad to be a part of this, journey. It's we have actually changed the way the world works, the way money works, and I mean this time would be remembered in the years to come, in the centuries to come.
I agree. I think it's great being part of the journey. I think we are still in that very nascent stage. We are growing, and it's definitely something to look out for. Lots of industries are looking at it. Evaluations and investments are getting into fintech as well. Anuj, perhaps you can tell us a bit about some of the applications and advancements that you see when it comes to fintech, whether it's traditional fintech or whether it's fintech with blockchain in it.
I, I'm gonna take a slightly different route here, mate. I mean, Bernard and Rishabh explained in great depth what blockchain is, what the application for it is. I want to take a different route and talk about the blockchain adoption that's happening right now, as you asked. Uh, because let's be honest, blockchain is a nerd's system. Anyone who's a nerd knows it. Anyone who's a nerd loves it, and that's exactly what it's been for the last 8 or 9 years. It's been in that selected community where only those who understand it go crazy about it. We love to nerd out on blockchain. Uh, but yeah, this year has been the year of change. We've all seen how the pandemic affected everyone, how it affected the banking system, how the banking industry in itself as a whole, which has been very hesitant to not just change, but rather, for that matter, to even upgrade themselves. ATM systems across the world are still running on Windows XP. They have not yet been updated to a better operating system. So, let alone building that system again up to the modern standards. So that's what blockchain is doing. It's more or less now become a system which is forcing banks, financial institutions to upgrade their technology. It's forcing uh, peer-to-peer lending systems to come up with better solutions to interact with their consumers, and it's becoming something which is mainstream. We've always said that one of the reason blockchain has not become more prominent, it's not become more famous, is because regulators have not been on our side. That government institutions have been slow on accepting it, and for rightful reasons, of course. I honestly don't blame them. It's a new technology. They still don't understand it. But another reason why blockchain has not yet been mass adopted, it's because of uh, companies, or rather the big tech, not yet adopting it. Google, Facebook, no one has yet to, everyone's yet to adopt the system. Although Facebook has gone ahead and announced Libra, it's still nowhere in sight. But now this year is where we are seeing things change, where everyone's getting in on that bandwagon. 2017 was the first where we saw the first hype. This is the year where things are now changing slightly differently, because PayPal has recently announced that it's going to start working with cryptocurrencies. And that's a huge step. I mean, it's one company that was there back in the internet bubble. So they have gone through it. They have seen how things can change. They have seen how that bubble can form and can burst. So if they have been hesitant in that 2017 bubble, in that 2017 run, and if they decide to jump in on that bandwagon now, that means that they are sure about it. And it's definitely a huge step. PayPal has mass adoption. There are hundreds of thousands of users who are using it. So anytime an already established company that already has hundreds of thousands of user in its system decides to adopt this technology, it becomes a game changer.
Right,
Uh,
right.
because being very honest, a truly decentralized system is a unicorn. It doesn't exist right now. Any company can come up and say, hey, I have a truly decentralized system. But is it though? I mean, you need that system deployed over hundreds of thousands, if not millions of devices. There's a reason why we associate blockchain with Bitcoin, because it's probably the closest it's coming to be totally decentralized. and that's where that main adoption factor comes in. Only when a game like Activision, which has Call of Duty on hundreds of thousands of mobile phone right now, or a game like PUBG, which is again on hundreds of thousands of devices, adopts that system to improve it, to make their system faster, to make their system more efficient, is where you're going to see the first application of it. And once that happens, of course, it's going to reach a point where it's only going to spread out and become more bigger.
Right. Oh, I think you're right there. Developers are pushing the traditional fintech segment to kind of up their game in a way, and we do see lots of adoption and growth as well. But I think I want to take a different point now. I mean, from your end, being VCs and being those who kind of hold those funds and investing in these businesses, do you see the same eager in some of the businesses or startups that come out? Are they out there to eliminate the middleman and solely look at costs? I mean, Rishabh.
Terence, I think we lost you for the last 10 seconds. Can you
Okay.
please?
Yeah, sorry. What I was saying is, when it comes to the blockchain adoption at the moment, do we see new businesses coming out eager to kind of look at eliminating that middleman and that cost? Or are they out there to kind of change the whole ecosystem? Could you comment on that?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's to be honest, it's a mix and match right now. The markets are really very aggressive. The markets are going very exciting. These are very exciting times. And when it's about these markets, we also saw that in 2017, that when the markets are good, a lot of projects that are there to make quick money come out. Raise their funds, go do their ICOs and IEOs, and just vanish from the ecosystem. Whereas at the same time, we do have some great projects that are actually solving some real problem, right? I mean, during the discussion, I'll name a couple of them with whom we are working, and which I came across, that are actually using blockchain and decentralization. They are giving access to those services which was not possible earlier. Anuj rightly mentioned that a truly decentralized system does not exist today. It's a myth. You talk about anything, they would be having some sense of centralization. But I was reading an article by CoinDesk, a couple of days back, which very well explained this whole thought process. It says that it's not about going decentralized just to go against some existing ecosystem. The objective should be to bring a revolution to this centralized ecosystem in a way that takes away the glitches that were present there. So decentralization is not here to replace the system. It's here to make it efficient and improve its efficiency, and to make it better and accessible to the to the public, right? That's where decentralization actually comes in. And that's the problem statement that needs to be understood by these projects. So when these projects come in, I mean, there are so many projects which are actually, let's say, take an example of wide adoption. I was recently reading about a project that is bringing lending and borrowing in a decentralized format to the retail audience. Just a click away, they have built a graphic, they have built a UX, and they've built their whole backend in a way that with just one click access, you can actually take a loan from a protocol like Compound, MakerDAO, and whatnot. You can actually take a loan from the system as a retail user, and then pay back in EMIs. So there is no central authority here. There is no one to take a bribe from you to say, okay, give me this money, I'll pass a loan, right? And still you're able to access your fund and use it in your own way, pay a tax for it, pay whatever liabilities you have, and then actually use this block. They have actually used blockchain to give this amazing services to the retail audience, to the businesses, to the utility businesses that are running throughout the ecosystem, throughout the globe. And that's these are the kind of project that will be revolutionizing the way people look at blockchain and fintech. You look at the data. There's a very famous data aggregator platform called Statista, which says that the growth in wallets, crypto wallets, has growth at a grow and has been growing at a rate of 10% CAGR, at a CAGR of 10%, and presently stands at 55 million wallets. That shows, I mean, even though that data would have some discrepancies, would would be, they might, we can assume as many glitches as we want in that data, but still it says that the number is growing at an exponential rate. A 10% CAGR, monthly CAGR is actually a 10% growth rate, monthly growth rate is actually a good number. You look at what JP Morgan says. JP Morgan is the same bank which was, against say Bitcoin is going to zero. PayPal was the same platform which says that Bitcoin is nothing but another Ponzi which is coming up. And today, if you look at Grayscale Investment Trust, it's a vehicle, investment vehicle through which all these institutional investors invest. It says that in Q3 2020 itself, they have more than doubled the number of investors coming in. The retail investors has grown more than three times. That shows, that this is expanding. The ecosystem is expanding. A lot of people are coming in. We have seen exchanges. We have seen how, you being from have something to share on how projects are approaching the exchanges, how the volume is growing on the exchanges, the trading volume, the retail investor basket of retail investors. The whales are now slowly, trying to, the whales are limited now. It's not like, the projects are owned by whales. The retail investors, the retail traders are coming in. And I think that's an indicator of how the things have changed over the period of time.
I would agree there as well. We do see lots of activity and lots of interest coming in. Okay, so moving on to you, Bernard, perhaps you can tell us a little bit about the Europe side of things, or even from your region there. Do you see businesses recognizing the value of this technology?
Well, I guess Europe is no different from other regions in the world. And in Europe, just as in India, there is a love for mathematics. And many people, particularly in France, take mathematics as a major, whatever you want to do. And when you are keen to study mathematics, you very often are tempted to look into the blockchain, because it can be a fully mathematical model that governs a system, and this system can translate into some kind of economic impact. So that is what is really interesting. And I would say that particularly in the younger generations, there is a very strong appetite among engineers, also among business schools, for blockchain, much more than there was before. So interestingly, Anuj, Ribash, and myself, we start by saying that blockchain is not just about the cryptos, but then, of course, if we want to exemplify the expansion of blockchain in the global economy, we have to relate to cryptos again. PayPal was an example. They're adopting that. We've got a number of neobanks who enable people to hold Bitcoins and Ethereum. That is a start, like evangelizing the population about blockchain. So when you hold Bitcoin, then you suddenly become intrigued about what is behind it, and you may want to read the white paper, or if you don't read the white paper, you may want to know more about the economics, and then suddenly you realize that it could be a money. Definition of money is that it's a unit of account. It's also store of value, and definitely Bitcoin is today store of value. Maybe it goes to zero, maybe it goes to $300. We don't know, but today it's a store of value. You can put your money there. What it is not exactly is a means of exchange. So that's differentiates the Bitcoin from other currencies. But interestingly, without an established governance as the other central currencies, it's been going on for 11 years. And it's been going on quite efficiently. So deriving from that, we are building companies together with entrepreneurs around around blockchain technologies to take advantage of some of the features. I mentioned this means of exchange function that you don't have in Bitcoin today. It could be one of the improvements that we are working on in remittance. For example, there are a lot of applications. Instant transfer of money is something that some of our portfolio companies are working on because it can be extremely efficient, it can eliminate the middleman, and in some cases, you have an application that can be extremely efficient. Another company that we have started, it's called MoneyTrack, and it targets the insurance and the claim market. It takes advantage of a feature that is called zero-proof knowledge. Basically, privacy in insurance and in claims, particularly in health, is extremely important. So you want everything to be encrypted, but you don't want to be to allow fraud. So you want to be able to pinpoint as a particular transaction even long after it has been conducted and verified. And that can be automated through a certain number of protocols, which is what MoneyTrack has put together, whereby the insurance company, the insured person, but also the practitioner can all refer to the same transaction in case there is a dispute or just for the validation of a reimbursement without actually having access to the names or to the content, which is what blockchain allows. So basically, you cannot change anymore the transaction because there are a number of layers above that which refer to this transaction. So forever, it won't be changeable.
Right.
Even a year after, or 2 years after, or maybe 5 years after, you can refer to this transaction and validate its amount, validate some of its characteristics, provided that it's defined at the moment the transaction was conducted, that you were entitled to verify a certain number of attributes. So blockchain can do that. Software can do that.
Businesses that kind of look at this in a bit. But Anuj, I want to go back to you on this. Is this only a propaganda to eliminate the middleman or just to cut costs? Or are the new businesses looking at the technology and taking it further? Could you comment on that?
I'll rather share a live case example on this one. 3 or 4 weeks ago, a gentleman reached out to me on LinkedIn and they wanted to discuss about their website that they have been working on for almost 2 or 3 years now. Pitching me their idea, they said that I want to build a truly decentralized e-commerce network where users can come and interact with each other and open that e-commerce system to the people who are underbanked, to people who don't yet have a credit card, and have a system that basically anyone can access. Now, my first question to them was, you're basically describing a system which is running at a level of Amazon with the money of a startup. How's that going to work? And that's a common theme that I'm seeing across some of the new startups that are coming up. Like I said, this blockchain is a nerd system right now. You really have to be a hardcore nerd to understand it, to build something on it. But one of the problems that comes in with this is, as nerds, we don't take into account people not understanding the system. Anyone who has ever heard me in any of my previous sessions knows that there's one thing which I advocate a lot, that building a new financial system, you have to make sure that it's easy to use. One of the reasons why just in Southeast Asia, just in the APAC region, we have over 3 billion people, yet less than 1 billion of them have access to banking system. And the primary reason for that is because banking systems are complicated. Those systems were built on antiquated system. They were last upgraded in the late 1990s and the early 2000s. Like I said, ATMs are still running on Windows XP. And from there on, a system that's not been upgraded is still highly complicated. There was resistance towards moving to a digitized system back in the early 2000s because a lot of people, even bank employees, did not know how to use it. And that's the case everywhere. Some companies that are coming up are intentionally making the system complicated or are unknowingly doing it, which is the reason why the technology cannot be mass adopted yet. And like I said, when you have to develop a system which needs to be deployed on hundreds of thousands of systems, hundreds of thousands of devices, you have to make sure that it's as easy as possible to use. Uh, like Rishabh said, you don't have to compete with the big technologies. You don't have to compete with the existing system. Uh, a phrase which we like to use here in our office is complement, don't compete. Try to complement an existing technology so that you're elevating it. If it's actually good enough, people will come to you and ask you to integrate that with their system as well. And that's how you build a company. But if you're trying to take a fight, if you're trying to say, hey, I'm going to replace the system completely, I'm going to make it obsolete, it's going to be a humongous challenge. I remember back in 2017 during the whole crypto run, uh, there was this cryptocurrency called Ripple, which was trying to replace Swift. Now, Swift is it's an established system to exchange money between countries. Yes, it has its flaws, but that's because it's not been upgraded. So if Ripple is coming in and saying I'm gonna replace Swift, that's where I say, yeah, mate, no, that's definitely not gonna happen. You're talking about an adoption which is not possible without deploying in 500, 600 billion dollars. So you
Yeah,
have to build
that
something
makes
which is
sense.
complementing Swift, which is making Swift easier, upgrading it. And if it's actually good enough, banks would say, hey, let's upgrade our system. We want to integrate that into ours so that our Swift transaction can be faster, it can be processed quickly. Because let's be honest, even banks want to save money. If they are using an existing system that's complicated, that's taking a day to process everything, and there's a lot of backlog, I'm sure they would be more than happy to spend money on a system which is clearing that backlog, which is bringing down their operation time from hours to minutes. I'm sure they'll be more than happy to do it. So
Right.
that needs to going forward.
Yeah. I agree with that, Anuj. Again, thank you for that. And for those tuning in as well, again, thank you and welcome. This is VCTV by LATOKEN. Again, the links are below. And if you're watching from YouTube, now on our webpage, we have the schedules for all the other events coming this week and subsequent events as well. So go have a look and kind of bookmark the events that you like. Again, gentlemen on the panels today, we do have lots of people tuning in who are startups, who are looking at you as VCs for that advice itself. Could you set the tone a little? Tell us a bit about some progressive projects that you see at the moment. Perhaps, Rishabh, you can start this off within the ecosystem itself.
Sure. So, I mean, I will say, I mean, great pointers, man. I mean, that's exactly what needs to be understood and, shared with the people and shared with everyone who is looking forward to build something in the blockchain technology. And one phrase which I would also use in my office from now on would be complement and not compete. Thank you. Thank you for this phrase. I mean, Terence, that's a great question again. This is a real, this is a real problem that is being faced by all these entrepreneurs who are trying to build something today. Let's talk about fintech today because that's something that everyone will looking forward to. So let's talk about fintech. The remittance part is done. There are good systems now. I'm sure that there would be some further revolutions that will be coming in. There'll be further milestones that will be achieved. But that's one thing. You just cannot go again and remake the wheel again and then put it in a different format. Just put it with some different dressing and then say, okay, this is a new product that is coming to the market. then raise funds and just go away. Don't do that. Right. There are so many unexplored sectors, insurtech for that matter, insurtech on blockchain, another fintech financial service which still needs a lot of understanding. Insurance products can be revolutionized using blockchain. We have coming products like Nexus Mutual coming in. We have products like Nexo coming. We have insurance products coming in, and we have so many of these protocols that are solving the insurance problem. They are taking away that centralization and single point of failure problem. They are dealing with it and solving it. Nexus Mutual has developed this amazing concept of a smart contract insurance. They are now building up more insurance products for the users. Credit scoring system. One of the other services, financial services. If you look at the present system, if do not have any transaction history, there is no way that a company can identify my credit score. And it's the how they start beginning. Even if you are earning a good amount of salary or good amount of money in India, and you do not have any transaction history, it becomes a little difficult for the banks to assess your credit score. And we have seen this problem actually being faced by a lot of people in my circle, and a lot of I have heard about this problem a lot from everyone. And this is where blockchain comes in. Recently, I was reading about an article which says that Telangana government has partnered with a London-based blockchain company. I am forgetting the name of that company, but yeah, they have partnered with this London-based company. Telangana is a state in India, for those who do not know. It's a state in India, and it's to calculate or assess the credit score and credit access, to give the credit access to the people who do not have a good transaction history, who do not have those banking history with them. So this is where blockchain is now solving a problem, and they are actually giving what it was meant for. So these are the problem statements that should be focused on. Robo advisory, still at a very nascent stage. We have seen that how just because robo advisory is something that needs transparency. Your auto execution of your trades, auto execution of your investments needs transparency and trust on the system. And you cannot trust a system that is depending on a single person, or a single person here means a single point of contact. You cannot have the trust on that system. So that whole ecosystem of having a robo advisory product complemented with blockchain, that would make an amazing product and being offered to the present audience, which needs quick access, As Anuj mentioned that Swift and Ripple, he was talking about Ripple, and I clearly remember that statement that says we can replace Swift. But again, in 2019, they came back. The head of the payment at Ripple came back and said, no, we are not replacing Swift. We are trying to complement it. We are trying to, we both can exist together, because that's what the truth is. You cannot replace an already existing solution in like some few, just because of your speed and transparency. You have to complement it. And that's where Ripple came up and said, okay, we'll try to complement it. We'll try to build up a business model, or build a product that is using the existing services as well as the characteristics of blockchain, and then provide the best services to the user. To all those entrepreneurs who are trying to come up with a product and dreaming of or aiming for building something, first of all, find that smallest of problem around you. It has been mentioned a lot of times on a lot of blogs, on a lot of webinars, that the biggest solution lies in the smallest of problem. And just identify the small problem which is around you, build a product, test it in your network, grow regionally. Try to get the feedback from your region. How does the product look like? What are the characteristics that are being liked? What are the characteristics that are not being liked? Then try to reach out to the funds, the angel investors, strategic investors. Don't look out for money. Don't look out for quick money. Go and look out for strategic investors who can get their hands dirty with you, who can start, walk with you, walk in your shoe and walk a mile with you and tell you, okay, let's pace up. Look out for those strategic investors, scale up the operations, get a good team, build a team which is loyal, build a loyal team, build a team that is with you and that is going to stick with you in the in during the ups and downs. Build up, and then go and scale up the operations, go and look out for more funds, and you would be there building a unicorn, decacorn, and what other cons we have. So that's the real problems that needs to be solved, rather than making quick money in 2 months and say, oh sorry, we made a bug, it was a bug, I'm very sorry.
Right.
You see a lot of posts on the Twitter these days. A founder comes to the Twitter channel and say, oh, we are very sorry for the bug, we are trying to work on it, but pull out your money as soon as possible. It's not possible to pull out the money as soon as possible, right? It's They have lost that money and they have lost that trust. So
Right.
don't go for quick money, because you will never be able to succeed in the long run.
You're right.
That's my
You're
two
right on
cents
that
on that.
one. Yeah, thanks. Bernard, how about yourself? Can you talk to us a bit and tell us about where are the funds going? And kind of perhaps you can shed some light on some of the progressive businesses that you see coming up or the startups that you are working with.
Yes, of course, and I believe you have a lot of startups in the audience. To us, it is important that when you have an idea as a startup of a new protocol and you want to build something around that, it's not just a blockchain that you want to market. It is a company. And in some cases, the solution, the technical solution, the blockchain actually even disappears behind the solution that you want to bring to the market. I mentioned this company, MoneyTrack, which is serving the health insurance market. It is serving the health insurance market. It is not building a new blockchain. And that is very important. To us, when you have this idea of protocol and you know it's going to run or you want to make it run, it has to bring something to the market that is actually better. To take the image that was given about Ripple and Swift, in this case, better means faster and easier to manipulate or to reconciliate. Faster, almost instant. That's better. So you should bring something to the market that is better, but not only better, it has to be cost efficient. Cost efficient at least by a factor of 4. If you're better, but you're providing a service that has the same cost, it is very difficult to convince everyone in the market to abandon the existing infrastructure, which is an investment in technology, but also in people. For a new investment and a new technology, it is challenging. It may not be the same generation. So if it's not extremely cost efficient, at least by a factor of 4, then I would advise that you forget it. And of course, it is not sufficient. It is better, it is cost efficient, but it should bring innovation. So innovation meaning opening new possibilities, things that are not doable with the existing system and which suddenly can become possible. Maybe in terms of user interface, or maybe in terms of new features that you can build on top of that because you have an infrastructure that is more flexible. And that is also extremely important. You don't want to invest just in a new generation of infrastructure that is better and cost efficient, because maybe the old infrastructure can do that also over time by just regenerating. So you want to invest in this platform also because it's going to open new possibilities. So that is really what we look at when we work on a platform and on a blockchain. It is not just the technology, it is what you can do with that and the market you can serve.
Right. I think that's a valid point. And you've got some formulas there, ladies and gentlemen, again, looking at the cost and making sure it's really effective at the end of the day. Gentlemen, we have about 10 minutes left on the show today. Let's kind of summarize the whole fintech and blockchain ecosystem here. I would like to kind of pose this question to you as well. give me a little bit of, I would say, your wish list, what you want to see. And perhaps you can kind of sum it up with some of your words of wisdoms from the VC standpoint, of course, to all those startups and all those people viewing today. Anuj, perhaps you can start this one.
Sure, absolutely, mate. So, talking about my wish list, getting a bit repetitive here, but yeah, a system that's easy to use. That's number one always. Uh, one of my first startups back in 2012 was in e-commerce, and looking back at it, I did not know one rule which I think is now the holy grail in the industry. It's the two-click rule, that you have to be able to get to the product that you need and check out in 2 clicks if possible. And that's what Amazon tries to do as well. That's why they pushed it further from just 2-click checkout to 1-click checkout. So that easy to use system is something that everyone who's working on a product, who's working on building something, has to understand. The technology needs to be easy to use, because while building it, it may seem simple to you, but I cannot stress this enough. There are 7 billion people in this world, most of whom are over the age of 30. So a new technology coming into them is always going to be met with resistance in its adoption. So until and unless it's a system that even a 50-year-old can work upon, it needs work. Second, security. You always have to have a secure system. Like Rishabh said, uh, people try to make a quick money, build on something, and then say, "Hey, it's a bug. Pull out your money if possible." That's not how it's supposed to work. You do that once, you're spoiling that entire user for the rest of the industry. That they're not going to trust any other product in that industry. That security aspect of things is the most important thing. In India, I remember during the 2008 government budget, they announced that cryptos will be banned, and they very carefully used the phrase crypto assets. I was there at a government meeting after the budget, and I was on a panel where we were discussing about this, and one of the representative of the finance ministry said, we do not identify cryptos as a currency. Hence, we are not calling it cryptocurrency. We are calling it crypto assets. And the reason why they banned it was simple, because they wanted to save the users. They wanted to save the users money. Let's be honest. A lot of people lost a lot of money because they did not know what the system was. So making sure that you are keeping your users safe, although in tech, we like to say it's not a bug, it's a feature. That does not work well when you are handling someone else's money. Someone coming up to me with a knife, taking away my money, I can't say, hey, that knife isn't a bug, that's a feature. That's decided for you to give out your money to others, to those who need it more than you. That's not how that works. So an easy to use system that's secure, and that can be deployed as quickly as possible. That's my 3 wish list for the entire ecosystem.
Right.
Any company that does that, or is aspire to it, or at least has that in a part of their vision, is the company I'm looking out for.
Start the pitch with that line then. Rishabh, on your end, Rishabh, to all those kind of watching and really wanting to reach out to you, look for that VC advice, look for that VC direction. What are you going to tell them, Rishabh, when it comes to fintech and blockchain?
Very rightly said, Anuj. Again, I mean, a few of the points might get repeated here. So, but yeah, to sum up broadly, 2 things that I, as a, we as an investor looking forward to. One is a product that is easy to use. Repeating what Anuj said, but yeah, that's actually the necessity of the art. That's the requirement for today. An easy to use product Second, a product that targets the retail community, that is not concentrated, that is not limited to a concentrated community, because it's the power of retail needs to be very well understood and grasped by these entrepreneurs when they are building a product. We have seen unicorns and decacorns being made by the retail. So any product that is able to fulfill these two criteria is in my wish list. Now, narrowing it down to certain sectors in fintech, I would say insurance, and I would say robo advisory, and then one bigger, looking from a, putting it all into perspective, I think all the financial services in a decentralized way, and that can be easily accessed by the retail community, is in my wish list. So that one sentence sums up what we are looking for as investors. And if anyone who is working on such a product, you're more than welcome to connect and take the discussion forward. We will be happy to work along and maybe help you in some or the other way to help you scale up and grow.
Great. Thank you for that. And to those funds that are open for you, pitch your ideas with us and listen to their advice, and we can kind of take that forward as well. Bernard, over at your end, how would you like to summarize the topic itself, and what would your advice be?
Well, we have had a lot of very sound advice to complement on our side. Of course, we understand that you startup founders will be convinced you have an awesome technology. Very often starts from there. When we talk about blockchain, it starts from the technology. And that is a definite prerequisite. If it's not an awesome technology, of course, you don't stand many chances to succeed. But it's not sufficient. That's why you need to be a team. It's very important to be a team. Awesome technology is a prerequisite to be competitive, but it's far from sufficient. In the case of fintech or insurtech, you need market expertise. You need an expertise of a market that you want to disrupt. If you don't have this expertise, it will take you a long time to acquire it, because in any case, you will have to evolve in this environment. So it's better, you need to have the market expertise from the beginning, because it will influence the way you make the technology evolve. So that is extremely important. And last but not least, something we very often forget is about the marketing. The marketing has tremendous importance, even in terms of investment in your business plan, but in your knowledge. It is not like technology and science is everything and marketing is a part and not important. It is extremely important. So you need to invest almost as much in marketing as you need to invest in technology in the future. So that is the third part that very often companies forget about. They think you have a technology, you have a market expertise, and that's it. No, it's not true. You need to have the right sales and marketing experience on board.
Right, great. And I think that's a great way to sum things up as well. Gentlemen of the panel, again, thank you for your insights. Thank you for your thoughts on the matter and shedding light on fintech and blockchain itself. And for those of you viewing from wherever you are, again, this is VCTV by LATOKEN, and I would like to end the show by saying again, thanks and have a great day. Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a great day.
You too.